So the other part of this chapter talks about problem solving. And so let's do an example problem. So we've got Joan here. She manages a building that's in a city, and all the tenants that live in this building complain that the elevators are too slow. It just drives them crazy. And so Joan, being a good manager, she gets James, the inspector, and he tells Joan that there's nothing wrong with the elevators. They run at a normal rate of speed, and they're up to code and everything like that. So what should she do? This is a problem. So, how would we solve it? Well, we're going to talk about that a few different times throughout this part of the chapter. So problem solving, so a problem, a situation, you must find some means to reach a goal. And we solve problems all the time. And problem solving usually involves creating a new solution for the problem. So there's lots of different ways to do this, obviously. Start out by finding a solvable problem. And so the one we talked about, slow elevators, the tenants are complaining, they're angry about the elevators being slow. Now, that's what they think. And so what we've learned, though, from James is the reality is that the elevators ran at normal speed, so the real problem is people are bored because they're having to wait for elevators. That's a lot different than there actually being something wrong with the elevators. And so we've learned that there's nothing wrong with the elevators. And so this is a really important thing, because if you haven't identified the problem correctly, any attempts at solving it are going to be heading down the wrong direction. And so you want to so that's a really important factor that you want to, that might keep you from being able to solve that problem. And so focusing on what's the most important, representing the problem in an effective way, and focusing on relevant information, because irrelevant stuff might just confuse you. And so sometimes you might even have to translate that problem and show a student how to translate a problem into an actual something that can be solved, and actually identify it as the right problem. Some good ways to teach this might be just direct instruction. So if they really have no idea, a good think aloud might be a good way to do that, to show them, okay, this is what I'm doing, and this is how I'm doing it. And using lots of different types of examples may help them be able to model that problem and see it as such. A worked example is a good way. You reflect all the different stages of the problem solving. You show them from beginning to end how you would solve that problem. And so it's not the actual problem, it's an example of what they're going to be doing. And it can engage students because they're going to create their own explanations and try to solve it themselves. So this should be an example for a new problem. It shouldn't be the same one. But sometimes there could be a problem that may not transfer as well. So in the next video, we're going to talk about some strategies that you could use, and maybe we can help our friend Joan and use some of those and help her to solve some of her